Hello everyone, you're watching Can You See Fish? And this video is the return of ERTL vs Take Along. After I took quite a long break from this series, I've decided to come back to it, and we're going to be continuing by taking a look at the ERTL and Take Along models of Henry the Green Engine. Yep, this is going to be the day of all the days to bring back this series, and I just want to start by taking a look at the ERTL model. I do think that the outcome of this video may surprise some people, but yeah, let's just start off by taking a look at the older of the two models. Now, it's worth mentioning before we get into this that this is actually a 2001 version of Henry, and I bring this up because there are some differences between the later version and the older 1984 version that I'm holding in my hands right here. So, but we'll take a look and get more into detail with that later. So starting off at the front, there is something quite off about this Henry. Ignoring the fact that his face is wonky, and also that this face is really not something that particularly reminds me of Henry. The only thing that it really reminds me of is that one face that he had in Series 2 that wasn't used all too much. I think it was only really used in cows, and then like I think it was planned to be used in the Missing Coach, but of course we all know how that turned out. Yeah, ignoring the fact that that's wonky, he's actually missing these kind of black things that he has at the front, and that actually causes his face to be far too close to his footplate. I mean, as you can see, there's pretty much no gap between them. It's pressed right up into the footplate, and that just doesn't look very good in my opinion. You've got the buffers at the front, and it's got this very thick clip coupling on it. I've never seen one as thick as this on any other models, and it's interesting because the original version, well, this isn't the original, this is the second edition, but the earlier models didn't have this. They just had the kind of regular clips on them, kind of more thin, but these ones are really quite chunky on the front and back of Henry. The wheel configuration, very accurate to what we see in the series. You've got 2 sets of wheels at the front and then 6 driving wheels in the middle. Particularly like the gap between these. And you've also got the suggestion of the kind of thing that the pistons enter. You can't really see it. Maybe I can get a light onto... so yeah, you can just see it there. I think that's kind of meant to be the suggestion of where the pistons kind of rotate to make the wheels turn. You got the side rods, which are red, obviously not accurate, but quite a few do have red side rods, and that's just the same on both sides. Looking at the smoke box and the boiler, this is of course depicting Henry in his new shape. So he's got the square smoke box. You can see his dome on top, and also his funnel, which I don't really like the look of this funnel. I'm going to once again bring in the older model to show you. You can tell they're different. This model definitely has the better one. It looks a lot more accurate. In the series, Henry's funnel is kind of short and stumpy, and this just doesn't look right. It's way too thin when it goes up, and then it just expands at the top, and it doesn't look right or accurate at all, in my opinion. You have got some other nice details though, like the windows on either side of the cab, and then the number 3 on the tender, of course, and nice red detailing, and also the suggestion of some stripes on the lining there on the boiler. At the back, you've once again got some more detail with, I think that's a paint misapplication there. I don't know if that's just on my model or on all the other ones, but it is worth mentioning just for the sake of it that it isn't there on the older model. And you've of course got the coal in the tender. Now, just putting that down, let's bring in the let me just move the older model out of the way. Let's bring in the Take Along Henry, and it's worth mentioning straight away that there really isn't much in it in case of length. Normally these are the what are they called, the ERTL are normally quite a bit longer than Take Along, or there's at least some kind of difference, but there isn't really one in the case of Henry. Looking at this, ignoring the glaring issues that you get with all Take Along models, such as lack of a side rod, or you know, the fact that the tender is ridiculously far away from the cab due to the use of smart magnets, this is the more accurate version of Henry. And there are some things on this that I cannot believe were left off the ERTL model. In particular, the wheel arches. How did they leave this off? How did they possibly think that, yeah, we'll just leave those off? I don't know if it was a mistake or if it was a choice, but it makes this version look so much better just having the wheel arches there. It does make such a difference to the general look of Henry. You've got these black things at the front, sorry, I don't know what they're called, which make the face look like it's kind of in the position that it should be rather than right next to the foot plate on this one. You've got the suggestion of railing there. Well, not really the suggestion, it's actually moulded railing. Shame it's not painted, like with a kind of silvery grey, but it is nice. The smoke box is considerably smaller and more compressed than on the ERTL model, but it makes up for that with nice red stripe detailing, which is continued all the way along, and that of course culminates in the smoke box at the front, the firebox, which has a much nicer funnel. Of the three Henry models, I actually think that the Take-Along has the nicest funnel of them all. You've got a proper one of them things from under there, properly kind of moulded onto the outside with the nice green detailing. And looking at the tender, the 3 is considerably bigger. I do prefer the look of the smaller 3, but there you go, and you can see the code in the top there, and also that similar detailing at the back. Not quite sure what that is, but it's there. The foot plate is of course here on the tender of this one, isn't on this one. I actually think it looks better without the foot plate personally. The tender, I prefer the look of the ERTL model when it does come to tenders, but you have got the extra detailing of the firebox in the cab there, even if it is missing the windows on either side. So I think that that's everything. And this is going to be a first for the series, and it's strange that it's going to be a first for the series on the returning episode, but in this case I actually think that the Take-Along model is nicer. I forgot to mention the face also looks a lot more like Henry on the Take-Along model than the ERTL one does. The Take-Along model is the nicer one. It's more accurate in my opinion. The details are much nicer if you can overlook stuff like, as I mentioned, side rods being missing. It's just something that you do have to come to expect from Take-Along because it's the same on all models, and I can kind of look past that and see that this is actually a really nice representation of Henry. The sizing is right, with the exception of the gap, but yeah, I like it. Also, the wheels aren't as far apart at the front, the 2 sets of smaller wheels, but this one has the nice striping, and it has a face that actually looks like Henry, and it's in the kind of the right position. So yeah, Take-Along wins this round. You've been watching Can You See Fish? If you have enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, goodbye.